When is the right time to leave your job? This is a question I get a lot, and I think it is a misunderstood concept for the most part. And so I am going to talk to you about what I see as a framework for knowing when to leave your job, and also just the common mistakes I see. And it's something that is mind blowing that people don't think about this on a day-to-day basis, because the truth is your job is never 100% safe. And again, even if your job is 80% safe, it means that you should be thinking about this at least 20% of the time. But what I find is most people don't think about it at all. By the way, if you don't know me, my name is Chris Garzone. I'm the CEO and founder of Data Engineer Academy. I have built the largest data engineering school in the country. We serve over thousands of students, actually help land a role in the space, not just education, but also career services. We are trying to do what I think colleges and master programs have not done well, which is actually help people break into the role. Obviously, you have to do your part as well, but that is our mission at Data Engineer Academy. Now, I've been a data engineer for 10 plus years at Amazon, Lyft, startups. I'm an angel investor in data companies, all that good stuff. And today, I wanna talk to you about when is the right time to leave your role. How do you know? How do you stop procrastinating? How do you get rid of this fear of, hey, am I making the wrong choice, et cetera, et cetera. And so the reason for this conversation is because I was talking to a mentor about my own business, and I asked him, it's like, hey, how do you know if it's the right time or when's the right time to raise capital? And he said something really smart to me. He was like, hey, I think you should raise capital when you don't need it. And I thought that was really interesting. It was like, raise capital when you don't need it. And I remember thinking to myself, right, like, hey, because we are still in the process of finding, we have lawyers and stuff, but we're in the process of finding like our main lawyers for our company. And I remember thinking to myself, well, this isn't the most urgent thing, but maybe that's the problem. Right? Maybe I have to make it urgent in my head. I have to trick my mind into thinking that it is urgent, because maybe I should go out and find some sort of lawyer before I need it, right? So raise capital before you need it. Get a lawyer before I need it, right? Get a personal trainer before you get fat, so that you don't have to get fat and then have to lose all that weight, which is a lot tougher, right? Don't put on that weight, in the first place. And the reason I think this framework is so important is because the mindset of like, hey, let's get something before we need it because it's easier to do, I think is so under talked about. And no one teaches this, right? Like your manager, your job isn't telling you this because it doesn't make sense for them to tell you this. They're not trying to tell you, hey, prepare to, find your next role, right? And so I've had this conversation with my own employees, by the way, where I was like, guys, like, obviously, I hope that my whole sales team, for example, stays with me for the next 10 years. I would love that, right? Happy family. At the same time, let me give you some honest advice. If you were applying for a new role and you were talking to the business owner, right? Like XYZ is what you want to say, not ABC, which is what everybody else says, because the business owner knows when you're bullshitting, right? It's like if the business owner asks a salesperson, it's like, hey, what's your close rate? And a closer goes, oh, it's 35%. Immediately the business owner is like, okay, that's bullshit. Because we know the closer is probably manipulating the data, not offering enough people, not calculating the fact that people didn't show, right? Not call confirming the people that didn't show, et cetera, right? There's ways for the business owner to know, oh, this person is BSing. And that's because that prospect didn't prepare for the interview. Right. And so, and again, to their, might not be their fault, but it is their problem. They didn't prepare for the interview because they probably only started interviewing when they needed a job. So similar for engineers, right? Engineers only start to prepare their new set of skills, prepare their new set of interviewing skills as well, not just technical, but also interviewing skills when they need a job. But that's the worst time to do it. Right. And so, again, going back to what one of my mentors said, it's like, well, you might want to raise capital when you don't need it. Because if I go to a bank and I'm like, hey, I need to borrow $100,000 or $500,000, it's like, well, what do you think the bank is actually going to most likely do if I tell them, hey, I want to raise 500 grand because I want to expand my company that's thriving, versus, hey, I want to get 500 grand because I'm trying to save my company that is about to go under? What do you think is most likely going to get a yes, right? And so this mental framework of like, hey, stay ready so you don't have to get ready is so underrated. And the problem that I see on these conversations with students or with people who want to become data professionals or get to that next level of their career is they're not thinking ahead of time, right? Trust me, we have the data. We've talked to over 10,000 people, me and my sales team, and about 40% of them are either laid off or on the verge of being laid off. That's insane, right? I was talking to a guy, a couple of days ago, and I won't say his name for anonymity purposes, but the guy was at a company for 12 years. And then out of nowhere, he got switched to a different part of the organization. And they basically were like, hey, you could either leave or you can stay at this new role for 50% less. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I'm like, man, like, believe it or not, man, you're lucky. Like, he's one of the lucky ones. And I know you're probably sitting there and you're like, Chris, what do you mean he's lucky? Like, he just got offered 50% less to stay at his role. And I'm like, well, most people just get let go. Most people don't see it coming. And again, I'm not saying to walk around fearful about being let go. That's not what I'm saying. In fact, I have a framework that's called the 1 hour anxiety rule. And so what that means is every day I'll go out for a walk for about an hour a day, and I'm gonna let myself be anxious. I'm just gonna let myself wander on the streets, get a walk, get some steps, get some sunlight in, right? Get some activity, burn some calories. But during that hour, I'm gonna let my mind be anxious. And the reason is because we can't live our life just being anxious all the time. Nothing gets done, right? You're not gonna get work done. You're not gonna be able to hang out with friends and family. You're not gonna be able to work out, right? So if you set some time aside to be anxious, like, I don't think I've got insurance for my house. Like, maybe if I don't deal with this person inside my company might go bankrupt. Did I remember to text back that person? Maybe I didn't. Maybe I need to check that, right? Let your mind be anxious for an hour, but set a dedicated time so that the other 23 hours of the day, you're just a productive machine, right? And so that's the framework. Otherwise, what happens is people get anxious about being anxious, and then they're more anxious throughout the day because they're like, oh, I shouldn't be anxious. And this word shouldn't is very dangerous, and that's a whole different conversation. But that framework of like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and be anxious for 1 hour a day, super powerful, super underrated. No one talks about that for some reason. But my whole point is that I don't want you guys to go and be anxious that you're gonna get fired at any moment. That's not what I'm saying. Because the truth is, there's many people that also have careers for 3, 5, 7 years, right? I've had a few employees myself who have been with me since the start, and they're hopefully gonna be with me for the next decade, right? And so it's a wonderful thing, and you shouldn't worry about it. But at the same time, you have to understand, hey, when is the time to leave my job? And this is what we'll talk about. We'll talk about the warning signs and what you should start accumulating in your head as to like, okay, this is one yellow flag, this is another yellow flag, right? And then add up however many yellow flags hit that red flag. And this concept of having yellow flags added to equal a red flag, I think is something that is subjective, meaning some people it might take 2 yellow flags and then they're out. Some people might take 20 yellow flags and then they're out. Like, you know what, I'm not getting paid, but I like it. I like this job because I'm working with people I love. I'm right across the street from my house. I'm in the city I want to be in. I'm doing what I want to do, even though I'm not getting paid well. Then great. You know what your tolerance is, right? But for most people, what they do is they don't set a standard for, hey, this is when I know I need to start leaving my job. And the reason we know this is because we talk to a lot of people that come in and they're like, well, I've been thinking about leaving my job for many, many years, like 2, 5, 7 years. Not even kidding, just many, many, many years. And the problem is they're stuck. They don't know if they should or shouldn't leave because they haven't set that standard of like, hey, this is not working out, right? It's like a relationship, right? When you enter a relationship, one of the things that key psychologists and key dating professionals mention is, hey, you should make a list of what you want, right? So let's say like it's a list of 10 things that you want, and then it's a list of like 5 non-negotiables, right? Maybe those non-negotiables are like, hey, they need to be the same religion, the same political affiliation, they need to be family oriented, they need to be down to have kids. And maybe there's one that's very unique to people. Like for me, it's like they need to want to work out most days of the month, right? Because I'm going to work out a ton, so I want someone who has the same lifestyle. Those are non-negotiables, and then everything else can be, nice to haves. Like, hey, maybe they're funny. Great, that's a nice to have. If they're not the funniest person, great, cool, I'll be the funny one, right? Whatever, right? You guys know what it's like to go find that person, but it's been very scientifically proven that if you actually write it down, you'll have more clarity so that when you start going on 100 dates, you're like, okay, this person doesn't meet that non-negotiable. This person meets all the non-negotiables. Let me get to know this person a little more to see how many of the nice to haves they hit. Cool, they hit 60%. Let me get to know them a little more. Maybe it'll get up to 70, right? No one's gonna hit 100%, and your job isn't gonna hit 100% of things either, 40% of things, right? Like most people are like, hey, I hate most of my job. I hate the people I work with. I hate my manager. I'm not getting paid enough. I don't see any upward mobility, and I'm not learning. And so this is what we'll start talking about. Hey, what are the yellow flags that I look for so that maybe it helps you start to create your list of yellow flags? And they don't have to be the same, but I'm just telling you based on the patterns that I've seen and based on what my own needs were, what were the yellow flags? Because again, just because you don't think you're gonna get laid off doesn't mean you shouldn't start prepping, right? Because again, when's the best time to raise capital if you have a business? It's when you don't need it. And let me just say one more thing before I give you my list of yellow flags. Can you learn skills and try to get a different job after you've been laid off? Of course. But do you think it's gonna be stressful? Yes, right? P. Diddy could have gotten any lawyer in the world. Now, after his court cases and after all the allegations that he's gotten, probably 99% of lawyers are like, yeah, I'm staying away from that. Now again, there's still 1% of lawyers that are like, hell yeah, P. Diddy, I'll work with you. You're a high-level celebrity. Guess what? You think they're charging the same amount they were charging before? No way. They probably bumped up prices 10x. So again, it's still doable. It's just a lot more stressful now, right? So again, not supporting P. Diddy. That's not what I'm doing here. But when's the best time to get a lawyer? Before shit goes bad. When's the best time to raise capital? Before shit goes bad. When's the best time to up-level your skills and start prepping your interview skills? Before you get laid off, and potentially before you even decided that you want to leave your company. So here's the framework. Going back to the yellow flags. If you have, let's say, 3 non-negotiables and 5 things you're looking for in your job, you should start prepping. I think if 30% of these things don't hit, you should start prepping. And then maybe if 50 or 60% of the things start to not hit, then it's when you start looking. But again, most people are inverted. Most people are doing this the opposite way. They start prepping when 70% of the things don't hit. So what are some of the things I look for? Well, I'll give you my non-negotiables first. Non-negotiables, 1, I need to be getting paid what I think I deserve because I value myself. And I can't tell you how many people we speak to that simply do not value themselves. I know that if I enter a company, I'm gonna make them millions, at least somewhere between 2 and 5 million. So I need to get paid 200 to 500 grand a year, 10% of it, right? So if somebody offers me 100 grand, I'm like, nope, I'm out. Now again, you might be watching this and you might be like, well, I'm making 50 grand a year, so I'd kill it to make 100 grand. Great. Figure out what your actual value is and then try to take 10 to 20% of that. So number 1, I need to be getting paid what I think I deserve. That's a non-negotiable. If that's not happening, I'm out. Which, by the way, is why I started my own company, because I was like, I know how smart I am. I know how hard I can work and will work. I'd rather go bet on myself, right? And again, in a very real way, when you're switching from your current company to your new company, you're betting on yourself, right? So don't mistake it. Don't think you have to be a business owner in order to bet on yourself. You can do this exact framework even if you're a 9 to 5er. So number 1, I have to be getting paid what I deserve. Number 2, The second thing that's an absolute non-negotiable for me is I have to be learning, right? If I am making the money I want, but my day-to-day sucks because I'm coming in and I'm just like plugging things into an Excel sheet, for example, obviously hopefully no one has to do that here, but it happens, right? And if I'm just copying and pasting things into an Excel sheet, my brain is gonna rot. I'm not learning anything. I'm not motivated. I'm not having fun. I'm not engaged. I feel like I'm slowly dying in front of a screen. Again, this is how I felt at some of the companies I used to work with. And again, I'm grateful for my opportunities at Amazon and Lyft and startups and all that stuff. But the best time I've had working have been at startups. And I've been building things from scratch. Again, that's just me. That's just a personal decision. But for you have to figure out what is it that can actually help you on a day-to-day basis. Stay happy, right? Stay engaged. And so for me, it's learning, right? If I'm not learning, I'm out. Which again, it's why a school like ours, it's why I created it, because you don't have to wait until your manager gives you a project to learn. Trust me, I used to work at Amazon. I used to ask my manager every quarter for 4 quarters straight, hey, this is what I want to do. Hey, can I get a project here? It moved so slowly. I got maybe like 2 projects in a year. Whereas with Data Engineer Academy, I was working on it myself, going through some stuff, teaching myself stuff. I learned like 4 things in a week. So again, and by the way, I don't have to learn the stuff. I'm good, right? I'm probably not going to go back to engineering, but this is what I'm saying. Like I'm learning things before I need to learn them because I know AI is coming. And so I'm trying to learn as much AI as I can, right? Like when I'm at the gym, I have an audiobook on AI. When I'm at walking, I'm literally looking at code. Sometimes running into people because I'm like, I'm trying to learn when I don't need it yet. That's just always been my mindset. And so again, non-negotiables. Number 1, I have to be getting paid what I think I deserve. Number 2, I have to be learning something new every single day. And number 3, the third non-negotiable for me is I have to like the people I'm working with, right? Again, I've had managers where I just didn't respect. And if I didn't respect that manager, I didn't put in that effort to learn new things or even go out of my way to learn new things. And if I did that, then I probably wasn't earning what I thought I deserved. So it's just a bad spiral. So if I'm not working with a manager I respect, if I'm not working with people I respect or enjoy going to work with, again, it's just going to make your day-to-day really, really rough. And I'm probably not going to be motivated in the long run. So those are 3 early warning signs for you. And you might be in that position where it's like, well, I already know I'm not getting paid enough, right? You might be making 60 grand a year, 80 grand a year, 120 grand a year. You might be with 1 kid, 2 kids, right? And it's just like, yeah, this isn't enough. What are you waiting for? Like if it's one non-negotiable, I'm out. I hope he's not watching this, but I have a friend who he's the wisest guy, man. I'll ask him for advice and he gives the best advice I know. And he's my age, right? Like he's 30. Like I don't know why he's so wise, but he is, especially when it comes to dating. Whenever I start dating a new girl, he'll ask me 5-10 questions, and it's like, man, he's really making me think, and that's a good thing, right? Almost like he's been through it so many times, which he has. And then what's crazy about my friend is he'll come to me and he's like, hey, Chris, I just started dating a new girl. I'm like, great, tell me about her. And she's like, yeah, this is awesome, that's awesome, this awesome. But my friend comes to me and he's like, well, Chris, girl's awesome, but we're a different religion. She's Christian, I'm not Christian, right? I'm some form of Indian religion, and it's probably not going to work because she's this, he's that. And I'm like, yeah, I got it. What are you going to do? And he's like, well, I'm going to keep dating her. I'm going to see what happens. In my mind, I'm like, what are you talking about? And then 2 months later, they break up. No surprise, right? And again, I think it's just part of life, and there's nothing bad about going through the process, but it's just one non-negotiable that is not going to change at any point. What are you waiting for? If you're making 80 to 90 grand a year and you know that your next promotion happens in 12 months, and even if you were to get promoted, you get a 10% raise, is that $8,000 really going to change your life? After taxes, that's $5 grand. $5,000. What's that going to do for you? Nothing, right? And so what most people don't understand is that non-negotiables in relationships are the same thing with non-negotiables at work. If something's not going to change, get out, or at least start the process of upskilling so that you can get out, right? If you have a manager that they're not going anywhere and you don't like working with them and you feel like you're not learning something new or at least innovating at your current job, right? That's why I try to give as many of my employees as possible so much autonomy to do their own thing, learn, etc. Yeah, they'll help my business, but hopefully they're learning too and have having fun doing it, because for them, money might be one aspect, but day-to-day fulfillment is another one, right? So again, one of the perks we offer at our company is it's all remote, because I understand that the people that come to work here would love to work, get their stuff done, take ownership, but then also at the same time might be traveling the world. And that's fine with me, right? Why not? As long as you get your work done, yeah, go travel, go have fun, right? And so again, these are just non-negotiables that are specific to people. But for you, those are things you really have to look for, because if you have a non-negotiable currently in your life at work, start the process, especially if you know it's not going to get any better. And so those are the non-negotiables. Those should be pretty straightforward. And in terms of the yellow flags, right? The yellow flags are also things to look out for, which is like, hey, is the company starting to do bad? It's like, okay, well, layoffs might be coming, right? So that's one yellow flag to look for. The other yellow flag is like, hey, well, my current team is not really doing well. Because yeah, your company might be going up, but if your team's not doing well, your team can get let go. So that's a yellow flag as well, right? The other yellow flag is like, hey, I like the people I'm working with, but they're kind of not smarter than me. To me, that's a problem, because if you're not learning, you're not surrounded by great people, then not only is your team going to suffer, but you might also not realize that you are starting to fall behind in terms of attractiveness in the market. Why is that? Because you're not learning any new tools. Chances are, if you're not surrounded by people who are teaching you stuff, then you're all falling behind together, right? As the good old saying goes, you're an average of the 5 people that you're surrounded by, right? And it's funny, I was having this conversation with a friend, and we like, because I just moved to New York, and so I'm, 10 blocks away from my best friend, and we're talking, and we like looked up after like 3 years. When I say looked up, I mean just like took a moment to reflect, and we're like, our best friend over there has a business. I have a business. This friend over here has a business. His sister has a business. And it's just like, like everybody around us is always trying to get better and bet on ourselves. And it's just, one of those things where it's like, you're going to be an average of the 5 people you're surrounded by. But if you're working at, whatever store, Home Depot, as a manager, and you're like, yeah, I've been unhappy for 2 years. You think that's going to just change if you just keep showing up to work, right? It's ridiculous. To me, it's crazy. I've had 10,000 of these conversations, and we have hundreds every single day. And to me, the level of standard that people have for their own life is depressing. Now, here's the good news. If you're still watching this, you probably want to be not the 99%. Trust me, the 99%, they already stopped watching this video. They're like, we have the data, we see the view count. They already stopped watching this video. If you're watching this video, you're like, yeah, like I want better. I don't want one of these non-negotiables in my life. I don't want to have 7 yellow flags that add up to a red flag, right? And that's good, because it means you're more self-aware. It means you're more aware of the fact that, I probably should change something in my life. Now, how do you do it? Again, you can dip your toes in the water. You can go to Coursera and YouTube and all this good stuff, or you can commit and never look back, because that's the way to actually make sure that you succeed. If you have no other option but to succeed, you will succeed. So if you are interested in getting help from me and my team to upskill your data skills and to land your next role within the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, depends where you are, click on the link below and go through the funnel, go through the landing page, opt in, right? Have a conversation with my team. Let's just see how we can help. It's an entirely free call. For everybody else, if you enjoyed this video and if you want me to keep giving you insights that I'm seeing after talking to tens and tens of thousands of people and having contact with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people through my email list, social media, all that stuff, then please like, share, subscribe, follow, comment. And what we want to do, what I want you to do is comment specifically something in the comment section so that I can go in and comment and give you advice. So answer this question. What is currently a yellow flag or a non-negotiable that you have in your current work environment, in your day-to-day job, that you, after reflecting, after watching this video, have come to think, maybe, just maybe, this is something that I haven't thought about over the last couple of years, but now I'm starting to take it a little more serious. So what's non-negotiable for you that currently exists in your life? Or a yellow flag, right? What's something that you're not happy with at your current job? So that's part 1. Part 2, given this non-negotiable or yellow flag, part 2 is like, hey, what are the steps that I'm going to start to take to move forward and move out of that position? Because remember, you don't want to hire a lawyer after you need a lawyer. You don't want to start to raise capital after you need capital. The best time to raise capital is before you need capital. The best time to get a personal trainer is before you get fat, et cetera, et cetera. So be proactive and put a comment in the chat, and hopefully I'll see some of you on the other side. Cheers and good luck.